For specific information regarding the safe operation, maintenance, handling procedures, and techniques, refer to your owner and operator manual or contact the manufacturer. Proper operator training, safe driving practices, and the awareness of the working environment are vitally important factors for the protection of the operator, fellow workers, the lift truck, and company products and property. OSHA's national statistics show that there are over 68,400 accidents reported annually that involve lift trucks. Also, over 13,000 workers' compensation claims are filed annually due to forklift accidents. Studies show that 70 to 90% of all forklift accidents are the result of operator error. Furthermore, unnecessary wear and tear resulting in high maintenance and repair costs is attributable to improper operation and poorly trained operators. OSHA Federal Regulation 29, CFR Part 1910.178, Powered Industrial Trucks, requires that all employers must provide their forklift operators with training that meets all of the current training requirements and standards. Not complying with current OSHA training requirements and standards can result in costly fines and penalties, lawsuits, medical bills, lost wages, and product damage. A detailed study sponsored by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health found that proper training can improve operator safety and performance by as much as 70%. The professional lift truck operator takes the responsibility to always drive safely and does not take chances that can cause injury or damage to product or property. OSHA federal regulations contain safety requirements relating to design, energy sources and fire protection, inspections and maintenance, use of lift trucks, and narrow aisle equipment. Your operator handbook contains a review section for each of these categories. Know the design of your lift truck. Professional operators know about the truck's nameplate, fulcrum point, capacity, load center, and three-point suspension system. These cars and trucks have different makes, models, features, and characteristics, but all contain the same principles in their general operating procedures. Likewise, there are many different types and models of lift trucks that are used for various applications, and they too have similar operating features and characteristics. Every lift truck has a manufacturer's nameplate that identifies the make, model, serial number, attachments, capacity, maximum lift height, and load center. Make certain that all nameplates and markings are in place, legible, and accurate. If the lift truck is equipped with front-end attachments other than factory installed, request a new nameplate from the manufacturer. The new nameplate identifies the attachment and the maximum capacity and lift height of the lift truck with the attachment. The operating principles of most lift trucks are similar to that of a seesaw or teeter-totter. Each has a center balance point or fulcrum point on which the objects pivot. As this is the fulcrum point of the seesaw, the fulcrum point of a lift truck is at the front wheels or front axles. There is a counterweight at the rear of each lift truck that offsets the rated load on the forks or front end of that lift truck. The size and weight of this counterweight determine the maximum rated load capacity that a lift truck can safely handle. The depth of a load is a critical factor that affects the capacity of a lift truck. The farther the load weight is extended away from the balance point of a lift truck, the less weight your lift truck can safely lift. Also, the capacity decreases as the load is lifted higher, as it moves away from the balance point at the front axle. Since the load depth is critical for manufacturers to determine load capacity, they rate their lift truck's load center or center of the load. The load center is the halfway distance from the face of the forks toward the tips of the forks. For example, the 24-inch load center dimension is the horizontal halfway point of a 48-inch deep load. Since most pallets are 48 inches deep, a 24-inch load center has become the industry standard for all lift truck manufacturers to determine the maximum load capacity. This maximum load capacity is stated on the nameplate. The load center dimension on the nameplate is relative to the manufacturer's rated capacity, also found on the nameplate. Most lift trucks that have a capacity up to 30,000 pounds are rated at a 24-inch load center, as the nameplate states. If the load center of a large load is greater than the 24-inch rated load center, for example, a 60-inch deep load having a 30-inch load center, the capacity of the forklift decreases. In this case, the same load must be greatly reduced to prevent a tip-over accident. Tall lift heights, front-end attachments, and extended load centers drastically reduce the weight capacity that a lift truck can safely handle. Know the rated load capacity and load center dimensions on the nameplate of your lift truck and do not exceed the rated capacity under any circumstance. Lift trucks operate on a 3-point suspension system called the stability triangle. Both the lift truck and the load have a center of gravity. When the lift truck picks up a load, the center of gravity of the truck and the load together becomes a combined center of gravity. This combined center of gravity should always remain inside the stability triangle. If the combined center of gravity moves outside the stability triangle, the operator's odds for tipping the lift truck over drastically increase. It is important to tilt the mast or forks back toward the lift truck to stabilize the load and to position the combined center of gravity farther back into the stability triangle. Never lift or lower your forks or load while traveling in forward or reverse, because this will only increase the possibility that the combined center of gravity will move outside the stability triangle and increase the chance of tipping the lift truck over. Sudden changes in speed, direction, or sharp turns also can cause the combined center of gravity to move outside the stability triangle. A mandatory overhead guard protects the operator against falling objects. Note that an overhead guard offers protection from the impact of small packages, boxes, bag material, and other objects representative of the job application, but not the impact of a falling capacity load. Use the load backrest extension whenever necessary to reduce the possibility of the load or part of the load from falling backwards. Lift truck manufacturers are equipping sit-down rider forklifts with operator restraint systems. This includes seats, seat belts, and warning decals. These decals advise you to always use the operator restraint system and wear your seat belt. In the case of a tip-over accident, don't jump, as the lift truck would likely fall on top of you. Hold on tight to the steering wheel. Brace your feet and keep them within the operator's compartment, and lean away from the direction of the fall. Spending the brief time it takes to put on your seatbelt and review the operator restraint system's decal can prevent severe injury or death in the event of a tip-over accident. Turn to page 2 of your operator handbook for the design review section. Stop the video now. For fire safety purposes, lift trucks are classified by their fuel or energy source. There are 4 primary classification sources. They are G for gas, LP for liquefied petroleum, D for diesel, and E for electric. These 4 primary fuel or energy sources include a total of 11 overall designations, which are specified by nationally recognized testing laboratories. Every lift truck requires a label or some other identifying mark indicating designation approval. Use only approved lift trucks in hazardous locations. For specific areas of use within locations that contain hazardous concentrations, refer to Table N1 of the OSHA Federal Regulations. Charge and install batteries only in areas designated for that purpose. Proper facilities are required for flushing and neutralizing electrolyte contact, for fire protection, for protecting battery chargers from damage by trucks, and for adequate ventilation to disperse harmful fumes from gassing batteries. Wear eye protection, gloves, and proper clothing when checking and handling batteries. Have an eye wash station available to flush and neutralize battery acid that may come in eye contact. Don't smoke and take precautions to prevent open flames, sparks, or electric arcs in battery charging areas. Only trained and authorized personnel may inspect, charge, maintain, and change industrial truck batteries according to the truck and battery manufacturer's guidelines. Position the lift truck and set the parking brake before attempting to change or charge batteries. Never plug the charger into the truck connector. During charging, keep the vent caps in place to avoid electrolyte spray. Open the battery compartment top and side covers on an electric lift truck to dissipate heat. Use adequate material handling equipment for handling or charging batteries. Disconnect the battery prior to electrical system repair. Keep tools and other metal objects away from the top of uncovered batteries. Follow the manufacturer's procedures when replacing contacts in a battery connector. The weight of the battery must comply with the weight range specified on the nameplate of the lift truck. Properly secure reinstalled batteries. The storage and handling of liquid fuels such as gas, liquefied petroleum, and diesel shall be in accordance with NFPA flammable and combustible liquid codes. If you are unsure about proper storage, check with your local fire authority for assistance. Turn the engine off before filling the fuel tank. Handle LP gas cylinders carefully. Dents or scrapes may weaken the tank, making it potentially hazardous. Properly position and secure LP tanks on the truck before connecting the fuel line. Open the tank valve slowly and check for leaks in the fuel lines. Never operate a lift truck with a leak in the fuel system. Avoid spilling fuel. If there is spillage of oil or fuel, carefully wash it away and replace the fuel tank cap before restarting the engine. Use non-combustible agents for cleaning trucks. Never use open flames, such as matches or lighters, for checking the gasoline level in fuel tanks. Smoking is prohibited around refueling areas. Turn to page 3 of your operator handbook for the Energy Sources and Fire Protection Review. Stop the video now. Proper and continuous lift truck maintenance can help ensure safe operation and prevent accidents. Before placing a lift truck into service, inspect its overall physical condition. Examine the lift truck at least daily. Inspect lift trucks used for multiple shift operations at the beginning of each shift. Fill out a written checklist during each inspection and file it in the appropriate place. Make sure the nameplate is clean and readable. Be certain to review the capacity and load center of the forklift. Check the condition of the tires and for loose lug nuts. Check for physical damage to the chassis, overhead guard, and load backrest. Check the mast condition and check the hydraulic hoses for cuts or leaks. Check for bent or cracked forks and for excessive wear that might create an unsafe condition. Check all fluid levels, such as oil, coolant, power steering, and brake fluid. Now, in the operating position, before starting the engine, be certain the emergency brake is set. Place the transmission in neutral and apply pressure to the service brake with your foot for 10 to 15 seconds. There should be no noticeable loss of brake pressure. Turn the key switch on, then check to be certain all safety devices operate properly, such as the horn, and if installed, the backup alarm, flashing light, brake lights, headlights, and turn signals. Make certain all gauges function properly. Turn the steering wheel all the way in both directions, checking for excessive play and wear. Check for unusual noise. Raise and lower the forks. Tilt the mast or upright forwards and backwards. Operate any other hydraulic attachment, checking for any unusual movement or defective parts. A lift truck showing any condition adversely affecting the safety of the vehicle, whether during the examination or while in operation, must be reported immediately and the lift truck taken out of service. Remove from service any vehicle that emits hazardous sparks or flames from the exhaust system. Overexposure to carbon monoxide fumes can be harmful or even fatal to workers in the operating area. Have an industrial hygienist periodically check for dangerous levels of carbon monoxide. When the temperature of any part of a lift truck is found to be in excess of its normal operating temperature, thus creating a hazardous condition, remove that vehicle from service. All repairs shall be made by trained and authorized personnel in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications and service intervals. Keep the lift trucks in a clean condition to minimize fire hazards and to help detect loose or defective parts. Replace all defective parts with parts equivalent in safety as those used in the original design. Turn to page 4 of your operator handbook for the inspection and maintenance review. Stop the video now. The operation of the lift truck, such as loading, lifting, traveling, parking, and shutdown, require an operator's skill, awareness, and concentration. A safe lift truck operator must know the proper procedures concerning the use of lift trucks. Handle only loads within the rated capacity of the truck. Operate lift trucks equipped with attachments as partially loaded trucks when not handling a load. Place the forks under the load as far as possible and carefully tilt the mast backward to stabilize the load. Handle only stable or safely arranged loads so they won't come loose while being moved. Always use both forks when lifting a load. Do not tilt an elevated load forward unless the load is in a deposit position over pallet racking or being stacked. Use only enough backwards tilt to stabilize the load when stacking or tiering loads. Overloading a lift truck decreases your control and the lift truck's stability and increases the possibility of a tip-over accident. The horn is a warning and safety device. Use it when approaching blind spots and corners, backing up, and when approaching people walking or standing along your path of travel. Always drive straight up and back down a ramp or inclined surface. Drive with the load pointed uphill on grades greater than 10%. Never turn a lift truck sideways on a ramp or inclined surface. Maintain a safe distance from the edge of ramps or platforms while on any elevated dock, platform, or